Hey everybody,
Hey.
it's me, Ina. Yep, and I'm inviting a super cool guest, Casslin. She is a big OG in crypto space, but also like in Farcaster. And currently she's building Nanograph and Cast2save, I think.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so today by the way, this is my first podcast, and I just wanted to invite somebody who is super cool and where we can learn a lot as well. So I wanted to start to tell you, like, my first question would be like, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, and also what are you building and what are this project for?
Okay. Yeah. This is also my first time to be on a podcast.
Yay!
So
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been in crypto place for 7 years. So since 2017, I started in crypto full time. And my first jobs were with a centralized exchange in Asia. And then later I worked for a US DeFi project.
Oh, wow.
And then from 2022, I started building our own product in the space. That basically sums up my experience here. And for my previous jobs, I worked as research, investment, operations, and stablecoin, pretty much just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yes, because this industry grows so fast. When you stay in an organization long enough, you get to work across different functions because the company grows really quick and they need people everywhere. So and this year we started building on Farcaster. I think Farcaster is a really cool place, and we'll discuss that more.
Yeah. The truth is, I was, until just recently, I thought that Farcaster and Warpcast are the same thing. And I didn't know, but it also is not. So if you can tell me a little bit what is the difference between Farcaster and Warpcast, and I would really like to hear that.
Yeah, okay. So I'm not an engineer, so I'm going to try to explain it in like lay language that makes sense to me and makes sense to everyone who's not super like code heavy. So Farcaster is a protocol. So it's quite decentralized, and you get everyone's social graph on chain. So that's pretty much what Farcaster is. So for us, we are building products on top of Farcaster. Then we can just plug in Farcaster and try to get data from Farcaster. We don't have to send account with any centralized entity. So that's a nice thing about Farcaster. And Warpcast is a client on top of Farcaster.
Okay.
So Warpcast is centralized. It's centralized, developed, and maintained by the company who's also developing a core protocol part of Farcaster. So that's where many people can get confused, because you will see Farcaster updates coming from the same people as who's in Warpcast updates. But those are two different levels of things. So for example, we are developing on Farcaster, and when we try to get data from Farcaster, we will get to know some data is maintained on Farcaster protocol level.
Like optimism, basically? You take those data from the optimism chain or from the hubs, like Farcaster?
Yes, from the hubs. Hubs. Yeah.
Are hubs actually off-chain or on-chain?
Hubs off-chain from my understanding.
Nice.
But there are different hubs. So it's like federated system, which is not exactly a blockchain, but similar. It's a similar structure.
Okay. That makes sense. Both Farcaster. So firstly, I would like to say, I would borrow this word, but somebody said Farcaster is like a DeFi Lego. And Warpcast sits on top of it.
Yes.
And not just Warpcast, but there are many different projects that can be built on top of Farcaster by using the uniqueness of Farcaster without needing to sign in to different apps.
Yes.
That's the logic, right?
Yes, that's the logic.
Awesome. Yeah, that was very nice explained, because I always thought people say Farcaster, but why they connect with me on Warpcast? It didn't make sense. But until I got to learn.
Warpcast is like an application on top of Farcaster.
Yeah.
You can also use other applications like Supercast, HeroCast, Taco. Those are like, you can connect with people there. It's the same because your social graph is on Farcaster protocol level. If you follow me on Warpcast, and then you sign in with Farcaster on, for example, Supercast, I'm still there.
You're still there. That makes so much sense.
Yeah. So you don't have to follow a bunch of people again when you're on different.
That's super easy. You can just switch to different application without signing in to put like full name, email address. That's pretty binary. We say in Japanese, like useful. Beneficial.
Beneficial. Okay.
So you said earlier you are building on Farcaster. May I ask you, why did you choose Farcaster for building both of your projects?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because we've been, like, since 2022, we've been building different products, products and DeFi stuff. And why we choose to build on Farcaster starting this year is because we feel like Farcaster is where a lot of interesting people are. And it's also a new use case in blockchain space where people actually use, which is very important. I think DeFi has a good use case, but DeFi's growth has been slowing down. It's mainly from bigger institutions. You don't see like many 0 to 1 innovations in DeFi anymore, especially on Ethereum. But Farcaster is a new use case where you got this decentralized social media, which actually works, have a decent active user base. Which is very important, because we've seen lots of attempts on decentralized social media since 2017. Like people try to build it on EOS and somewhere else. There's a really old product called Steemit. I'm not sure how many people still remember it. Yeah, it's like a decentralized blog or decentralized Twitter. But like those products never really
scale.
No, it never. It never really take off. Never really had decent user base. And for social media to take off, you have a decent user base is really important. For example, I was on Farcaster since 2022. And first there was only like 3,000 people there, and probably 100 to active. So you can go for one day, like you don't really have much to read on when you're scrolling the feed. But this year we see a really good growth on Farcaster. Is just basically you have content to
read.
And when you write content, you have people to see it. You can actually have got really good interaction on Farcaster. So that's something that's really interesting, because I resonate with Dan, the founder of Farcaster, because he worked for Coinbase before, and I worked for a centralized exchange before. So we all know there's only a handful of use case in crypto that people actually use. It's different from how many tokens you have, right? Like you can have like thousands of tokens and they pump and dump like for 6 months, it's gone. But like for products, like where people keep using, there's really a handful, like DeFi products on Ethereum, centralized exchange, stable coins. So I think exploring decentralized media, whether it's gonna be working for crypto users, whether it's working on a decentralized platform, is really important. And it's rather new, it's still the frontier. So we like to work on a frontier.
I totally agree with you. And I think like currently we see that the media in the West, but I think all over the world, is sometimes very manipulated and corrupted. So having on-chain media, I think, would make a peer-to-peer and would bring more credibility in my ideas. And the last thing, more important, is your digital ownership. For example, if you write something today on Substack and some people don't like it, or government, they can remove it. But on, for example, on Paragraph, they cannot do that. Why? Because it's stored in blockchain. And that's, I think, why digital ownership is a very important factor for on-chain media. And I think many people don't know about it, but they should start to use. So there would be no more New York Times, I believe, in the future, but there would be like journalist 101, and you can just read and learn. So I agree with you as well. So Farcaster is like the future in a way.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the centralized social media is coming to an end in terms of, not in terms of user pools. They still have like really large user pools. It's just the way it's managed and organized. It's coming to an end because it's all based on this web traffic model where you need to stir people's emotions as much as possible to make sure it gets broadcasted, to make sure you have more traffic. And the revenue model of selling ads, all those kind of, the whole model of centralized social media is, we all know the problems of it. And it's been increasing problems to the society. So I feel like now is the time to explore different models.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. And I am very bullish on this on-chain media. So I write this newsletter, and I change 100% from Substack to Paragraph when it got launched with the frames. Do you remember when the frames?
Oh, yeah.
So calling the founder of Paragraph, I think he did this with the frames, that you can, if you post on Paragraph, you can read in line, you can read online.
Oh, yes.
So that was like very innovative, I thought. And then I'm like, whoa, man, I'm in for that. So I just went for it. So very interesting. Okay. But something I have heard in many conferences I have been is that something that people say is the user adaptation and scalability. What are your thoughts on that, like on Farcaster and many young people, not young people, sorry, new people who want to join this community? How can they grow or how they can get to be active there? Is it just to post interesting content or do they have to expect some benefit from that? Does it make sense?
Oh, yeah, because I got that question a lot too. Like last week was blockchain week or blockchain month in Singapore. I met many friends who, like some are new and some are older friends. And many of them actually already have a Farcaster or Warpcast account, but like they are not active. They are like, one of the most common questions they asked me was like, what's the difference between Farcaster and Twitter? I know I have more audience on Twitter.
Definitely.
I get more interaction on Twitter. And if I just post the same content from on Twitter and Farcaster, like why do I have to post twice? So yeah, that's a very common question I got from people who are not active on Farcaster yet. And honestly, okay, so speaking for myself, I feel like Farcaster or Warpcast is a community that's more close-knit. And for people who wants to build new products, it's super friendly to get early users, early adopters, to get people to give you constructive feedback, which is very different from Twitter. But I understand that. So Farcaster currently, I don't think it's for everyone. It's just for people who you feel like this fits your goal of posting on social media. For example, like me, I enjoy intelligent conversations and high quality conversations. And also I'm building products on blockchain. And even though it was not on Farcaster, but now it's on Farcaster. But like I always find it's easier to get high quality new like early adopters to your blockchain project on Farcaster than on Twitter. Because sometimes I post the same content on Farcaster and Twitter. For example, yesterday I was asking where is a good article to give me like a bigger picture landscape of ZK TLS, new technology that's been really like hot in discussion right now. So I post the same question on Twitter and Farcaster. And on Twitter, even though I have more followers than Farcaster, but no one replied to me. Yeah, but on Farcaster, my friend who I get to know from collaborating on Farcaster, he quickly found a developer who might know, and he sent me an article, which is actually really good. So that's the kind of interaction that you get more on Farcaster rather than Twitter. If you're talking about just generally having more views, maybe Twitter is a place to just publishing your opinion, but if you want deeper interaction or conversation, or you want to get early adopters for your product, I think right now Farcaster is the right place to be.
That's a great point. I love it because it's really comes to the point. What's your priority? Do you want to engage in deep quality conversation, or for example, my Twitter account is super small. Every time I posted 0 comment, but I post on Farcaster. And many ideas, even though I don't agree with all of them, I get to see many different perspectives, and it's very helpful. So the quality level of the replies there is higher, I feel, than in Twitter.
Yeah, it really has nothing to do with whether your content is small or big on Twitter. Twitter is just unpredictable. Now, for me, it's the same. Sometimes you post something, it gets really crazy interactions, but sometimes you think you're just asking a real question or expressing a real opinion, but no one seems to see it. I have no idea like how I can make sure people can see it or not. It's like it feels like all in the hands of others. So yeah, it's very unpredictable. So that's why I think Farcaster is a good place to be an alternative. It cannot replace Twitter completely, but like it's a good place to be if you are, for example, an on-chain creator or creator who wants to be more on-chain or product builder in crypto. It's a really good place to be.
That's a very good comment. Thank you for that. I don't know, I think you are very active, but the industry is very fast-paced and it's going like crazy. But you said some kind of project that you have seen are like very cool projects now in crypto space, but people don't know yet? Or if you think some trends happening on crypto or any innovations?
I've been giving this a lot of thought too recently because everyone pretty much agrees that this year is really boring year for crypto.
Oh, okay.
Because last cycle in 2021, last bull cycle, we have so much like 0 to 1 innovations like NFTs, DeFi's, like you have all those like new narratives, new products. I feel like there's some like new hot stuff like every week or every month. But this year is this year is like flat. There are innovations, but they were not as groundbreaking as last cycle. And people I've been talking to last 2 weeks, most of them have been in this industry for a long time. So we all share the same feeling like this cycle is really boring. Like you don't see much groundbreaking, really interesting or really weird, just really crazy innovations here. It's getting boring. And why is that?
It's getting boring.
Honestly, I don't know. But I feel like we are past the stage where we mainly care about infrastructures and theoretical research as we have been in the last 6 to 7 years or even last 10 years. Because the infra is there, even though it's not perfect, and there's still improvement, but it's there. It's not a 0 to 1 stage anymore. It's a 1 to 100 stage. Now we have most of the early adopters in crypto now, but like we need to increase users. We need to increase people.
Scale, you mean?
We need to scale more. We need more users to be on it, and not like coders or geeks, but who are just users. They use the product on a daily basis. So I think maybe the next 10 years is where we're going into the pragmatic age where we just build really good products. As Dan said on Farcaster one day, like he was saying chain doesn't matter, and then there was another person saying product matters. I think that captures what we need to do in the next 10 years is we need to build really good products. And the blockchain technology is in the back end of it. But most users may not be able to recognize it. They probably don't feel it that much. But like the product needs to be really good. We don't have the excuse of saying you don't have all the infra, so we need to build infra on top of infra and on top of infra and dev tooling for devs and for other devs. One day in the end, you have to face your end users and make it work.
Yeah, definitely. I also agree with this because I see that, for example, in my family, like my parents are not tech savvy, first of all, and they don't understand crypto at all. Even though I try to explain to them, I find it very hard to explain what exactly I do for work and how block technology works because they have this old mentality, and so it's hard to explain. But I noticed that if I give them some application to use it, they will use it. So if the UI UX is easy, they can see it and they can use it. But if it's complicated, no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is something I noticed with my family, but also a couple of friends that are not in crypto.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and that's me as a crypto user. Sometimes I get stopped by those really weird, difficult UX for crypto products. For example, you get to try an on-chain game, but then you need to read. Okay, I'm not talking about any specific project. It's just the observation I have when I try new products. Sometimes you want to try new product, and you need to go over like really long documents to understand how you create a new wallet, deposit to the new wallet, bridge money from L1 to L2, and even sometimes L3, and bridge it out. And
especially
it's hard even for me. I cannot imagine anyone else who's not even in this industry to try.
Yeah. The same. Every time I'm like bridging. Wait, what was it? And then I started to Google it, and then I'm like, is this is it something I can trust this resource? I don't know. So I keep searching, and it goes to like from here. It's like a rabbit hole in a way. But
it's true.
I totally feel that. Yeah. Okay, we move on to the next question. I know you are building great projects now. Do you have any advisor for builders or for developers that want to get involved in Farcaster or whatever decentralized social networking they want to do? Or not really?
Sure. Those are just my lessons learned from building on Farcaster. So first of all, I think user experience really matters a lot. Just try to make as easy as possible for users, because users don't really care like how much cool technology you're using in the backend, but they really care like do they have to do extra clicks to get through the whole process? Second one is just try to get your message out as much as possible when you're building on social media, because it's how I feel is because when you're building in social media, and this either centralized or decentralized, but like as long as on social media, like people really get to know your products through your
content.
So you need to put as much content out there as possible on social media. Otherwise, people really don't really know what you're building or what your product is for. So make sure you create content that's easier for people to digest, that's simple and short, concise, and post it on social media regularly as much as possible. For example, every major announcement, every change, just how you feel about designing this new feature, building in public as much as possible really helps get your product known for the ecosystem.
Interesting. What about the problem solving thing? Every app, in my understanding, that when you build an app, you should have a problem to solve. What about that?
Yeah, that's really important too, especially in decentralized social media, because like centralized social media today still have the biggest user base. So there are many models that might work well in centralized social media, but doesn't work as well in decentralized social media because the user pool is smaller. And another thing is there are some things that really good use cases for crypto, but not so good reflected in Web2. For example, crypto is still value internet, that most of the use cases are about either trading or asset issuance or payment. So when you're building in decentralized social media, you have to keep that in mind. What's the difference, value proposition you can offer to users on this platform comparing to users on Twitter? Because you cannot, so for example, if your value proposition is you can help users get more reach, it's not going to work because Twitter will definitely have more reach, like a bigger web traffic than Farcaster. But if you want to get, for example, on-chain creators get paid more directly, then that's a good use case because you are making the crypto value proposition where the Web2 social media
cannot
provide.
Yeah. It's also like the digital ownership. If you are on-chain artist, you own your stuff. If now you're a singer, for example, you have to go through record labels and so many different hooks to get you to the song, and you don't even own it. But if you do it on chain, imagine it's like you own your own stuff and you get paid for that.
And you also share less of income cut from the platform comparing to Web2 platforms. I think Web2 platform like 10% to 30% is like
that's a lot.
Normal. It's a normal cut, and you also have to go through lots of connecting your bank account or credit card or all this kind of stuff.
It becomes troublesome.
So those are the things that crypto can do very well. And we have to keep in mind when we're building on decentralized social media, because you have to provide something that completely different as a value proposition for users.
Awesome. That was very nice. I have two more questions, but I like this one more that I did. I actually subscribed to your newsletter yesterday. And I was taking a look
on Mail or on
Substack.
Yeah, you did. Okay, I need to put all my stuff together.
Maybe you will figure out. But I saw about Naval that you post the wealth thing. And I want to share you something funny. Naval has been such a hero, I would like to say, in my life. Because
cool.
When I was working in a corporate or like a company in Japan, I was a bit depressed and very low. And then suddenly I find about Naval from my husband, and I got to read the almanac. And then I got so inspired by the wealth idea that I went on Monday and I quit my job. This was that. And then I saw that you posted the 10 points about wealth. And I'm like, I'm vibing so much with this person.
Oh, nice.
I wanted to ask you, do you apply the logic of wealth in your life? Or was it always you thought wealth is more important, or you were seeking something else in life? Or like more, you want to be more rich, or you want to be wealthy? Has it been different in different stages of life, or it has always been the same, wealth?
Okay, that's very, very interesting that you found my article. I think that was 2 years ago.
Something
I can't remember, a while ago. It was during COVID. I was at home. We were like in between lockdowns. Got lots of free time to read. And I think that was the time when I'm about to leave my last job. I can't remember, but like it was a time where I'm trying to figure out meaning of life and everything. Yes, so I read his article. There was this really long And there was this podcast I think he did with.
He did as well, yeah.
Really long podcast about like wealth, life, happiness.
I'm not sure if he did that with Brett or another person.
I can't remember.
But it's on Spotify.
Yeah, it was a really long podcast, and I read through those, and I wrote this article because I felt like I agree a lot with what he was saying. Yeah, that was a really interesting time because I think I was about to leave my last job, and I was trying to figure out what I want to do in the next stage of my life. For example, do I want to find another job, or do I want to do just something on my own, and what do I want to do in my life? And that was a very inspiring article account because that was a time where I was thinking about meaning of life as well, because I have worked for a company for a while, and I've got enough experience of managing teams, managing business, taking in charge of a business line, and all that stuff. So I was like, I know I can do all those stuff, and I can continue doing them for a company or doing it for myself. What do I need to do? What should be the guiding principle of
the next step, basically?
Yes, me for next step, because I had the choice of working or not to work. Instantly for another company, I can take a break. And so that was when I was reading his posts and trying to see how should I have this framework of how I should live my life for the next stage. Because so to think about this, when we're young, we're in school and then we graduate, and first 10 to 20 years, we try really hard to just make sure we can get a life by ourselves, right? We make sure we have enough salary, we have enough savings, and we can support ourselves. We don't have to live on parents' money. So after all this is done, like what you want to do the rest of your life. So the article was really interesting because I totally agree with what he was saying. And this is what I observed in crypto as well, is just simply having money doesn't make sure you get happiness. And sometimes it's even worse. And I've seen how money works on people in a really bad way, especially if you get money like too much and too quick, right?
There's no like fast scheme to get rich quickly. I never believe those things, but they sell very well on YouTube, or like influencers buy this product and you get very rich. I never trust those, but some people fall prey.
Well, I've seen people get rich really quick, and then it doesn't work well.
It doesn't work
in the end. So, for example, Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yes. That's a very good example. I totally forgot about him.
I met him. I was on a business trip to Hong Kong, and he was just started. So my first impression on him was just, this kid is really smart, and he's very risk-taking. He moved from California to Hong Kong just because they think regulation is more friendly, and which was very impressive because I know not many American people will do that. Like most people,
especially if you come from like San Francisco, like
San Francisco is like the center of the center of the world. Like why would you want to move out, right? Like it's a mind a barrier to many people who don't want to move out of San Francisco. So that was really impressive. And then fast forward to now, to see where he is, and it influences my way of seeing how people get rich. Very, very big, because you don't see people who you actually know actually met to get rich so quick and then fell down so quick and so bad in like just 5 years. I think that's the fastest I've ever seen in real life. So it's quite
shocking.
It's quite shocking.
It is.
It's quite shocking. So by the time I was reading Neville's article, I was thinking he's making a point of, first of all, everyone wants to get rich or decently rich, right? You want to make sure you don't have to worry about your next meal. You don't have to worry about
money solves money problems, he says.
So
I love that. But wealth was the part that makes you like, you make money while you sleep. That's the part that got me into it a lot.
Yes, I agree. First of all, you have to have initial capital to make sure you don't have to worry about, for example, your rent next month or medical bills.
I didn't have that. When I quit my job, because I thought you can get rich just by working. I didn't think you get rich by owning something.
Yes.
When you have an idea for business, or when you own your content or you create stuff, that's how you can get wealthy, I think.
Yes, that's what helped with my thinking
this
as
is
well.
Something like my parents or my generation, I think still it's in the world, we think that you get rich by working in a corporate.
Yes.
No, it's the
No, you
opposite.
don't.
You don't.
I agree.
It's kind of a slave in a way. Maybe people will blame me if I say that, but it's like a slave for the corporate. You just give your time and you get paid for the hour. The thing.
Yes, that's the thing. So yeah, that's what really helped me about thinking what my next step is. Because as you said, slave is a strong word, so I wouldn't put it that way. But the other thing is true, like when you work for the corporate, you don't really own anything. And you don't own anything in the end either. Like you can work for the company for 10 years or 20 years, but all you get is just money in compensation for the time you worked in. But you don't get ownership of your work product. You don't get ownership of your personal brand. You don't get ownership of your work. So that's what's really important, is that you get to realize that just getting a paycheck, just getting money, for example, monthly, does not result in necessarily that you have wealth. Wealth is a totally different concept. Wealth is depend on what you own. And that's really important. You need to separate between, for example, your cash flow and your wealth. You need to see, where does this cash flow come from? Does it come from you selling your time, which cannot scale because you only have so much time, and especially when you get older, the time you can sell will get less. But then if you own something that's different, if you own an asset that can appreciate in value with the time passing by, then that's something that you can really keep, and that's a wealth you really want to have. So when you get older, you want to have more wealth instead of just more cash for your time, because you will get less time to sell. So that really helps me deciding I'm gonna start building something my own, even though it could get really hard at the beginning, but it's a worthy process to take on, because in the end you have a chance to be owning something of your own.
Proud of that, it's mine. I love that. Can I also ask you like a last question? I don't want to take a lot of your time. Do you follow the Brian Johnson or Don't Die Ideal protocol about the longevity?
Okay, I actually like to ask what are the core elements of the protocol in your opinion?
So in my opinion is that Brian says 3 important things are that can give our like a good long health, which is first is sleep. If we sleep very well. The second is, I think, is diet, but the third is exercise. So I'm not sure of the order. So these 3 can guarantee very long life, but also healthy without having issues. So these are in his concept, but he's very, in Japanese we say majimen, like very serious about it. And I really like and respect that. Not necessarily I follow that logic, but I like to eat healthy and eat whatever I want to eat with enjoying life, I think. That's my main point. But I still exercise and I still sleep, my priority, but I just don't eat very strict. Sometimes I might like something and I will get it, but it's all about balance, maybe. He might not like this, but I don't mind. That will be the end of the questions. Thank you so much for your time, Casslin.
Thank you. It's nice doing the podcast
chatting
with you.
and doing podcasts. Although it's my first time, I felt very easy. You really helped me to calm down because I was a bit nervous.
That's nice.